Ah, Metal Gear. I already did a retrospective Metal Gear last year, and if I think that there's a series that I will redo, it's Metal Gear because those videos are terrible. But I didn't technically do every Metal Gear game, I just did the ones Hideo Kojima directed, so I figured that it was time to return to Metal Gear. Let's look at Metal Gear Rising: Revengence. That's not even a word I know, but hey, I didn't name it. First, some development history. Metal Gear Rising had a bit of a troubled production. For starters, it was originally called Metal Gear Solid Rising, and was set between Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4. Presumably it would have explained how Raiden came to get his cybernetic implants, and explained how he rescued Sonny from the Patriots, so essentially a fill-in-the-gaps type of game. But the game had troubled development, and was quietly cancelled. That's where Platinum Games stepped in and offered to develop the game. So the game underwent some changes. No longer Metal Gear Solid Rising, it was now Metal Gear Rising: Revengence. The story was changed from an integral to being set 4 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 4. I was kinda iffy on that. 4 was the definite ending to the saga, and continuing on from it seemed kind of odd to me. Not to mention, at the end of 4, Raiden's back in a human body, and reunites with his wife and son. What was there left to do? That's the thing about doing sequels. You have to undo happy endings pretty sadistically. Anyway, I'm going to be spoiling this game. I mean, it is about 4 years old, but just in case people are still hung up about that, skip to this time in the video if you don't want to be spoiled. We begin with Raiden speaking with a Prime Minister. Ever since the end of Guns of the Patriots, Raiden's taken a job working for Maverick Security Consulting. Man's got a wife and kid to feed after all. Of course, things go south when they are ambushed by Desperado, led by this guy, Jetstorm Sam. Look at that grin, he knows exactly what he's doing. So Raiden gets out and the game begins, and here you'll find that Raiden can cut down anything that gets in his way, and he can move incredibly fast. You ever see those games where cutscene power is taken to the max? Well, that's largely averted here, as everything Raiden can do in cutscenes he can do in game. He moves fast with a ninja run, and cutting enemies with your sword is so satisfying. The Prime Minister is taken by Sundower and Raiden gives pursuit. Along the way, Raiden gets to fight Metal Gear Ray again, and holy crap, this is awesome. We've gone from fighting multiple Metal Gears at a time, to fighting it in Metal Gear Rex, to now being able to fight it using nothing but your sword and reflexes, and it really sets the stage for the boss battles to come. Raiden is able to track down the Prime Minister, but is unable to do anything as he watches Sundowner execute him. Then you're thrust into a boss battle against Sam, who pretty much kicks Raiden's ass.
Shit, not again.
Yeah, I guess I'd feel that way too if I lost my arm once already. So Desperado gets away and Raiden's left to be repaired by his friends from Maverick, who provide some timely assistance. So the game proper begins with Raiden arriving on a beach. Making his way through the city, Raiden encounters Blade Wolf, a wolf robot AI that challenges Raiden to a fight. After all, if he disobeys a direct order, he'll have his memory wiped clean. So this boss battle is fairly challenging. If you didn't know parrying before, this is a good time to learn, as it's very important to counter his attacks. After Raiden beats him, he continues on, arriving in the power plant. There, Raiden's confronted by Mistral, a cyborg with octopus arms, kinda like Solidus. Mistral tells Raiden of her past as a child soldier, so Raiden and Mistral have something in common. So another boss battle. This one's actually pretty easy because it's almost impossible to run out of health. After wearing her down, Raiden freezes her in liquid nitrogen and cuts her to pieces. Unfortunately, Raiden is unable to stop the Desperado leader from blowing up the plant. Yeah, nice job. Sometime later, Raiden is driving a car and wearing the most ridiculous disguise I've ever seen. At least this game is whimsical and doesn't take itself too seriously, so I will give the game props for that. They've also repaired Blade Wolf, who serves as Raiden's companion for the rest of the game. Raiden enters the sewers and eventually comes across a boy named George, who tells him that Desperado is keeping several kids prisoner. Raiden connects with the boy, obviously remembering his past as a child soldier. Raiden makes his way into the underground factory where he has to fight a giant robot named Grad. This boss battle isn't too particularly interesting, as it's another mech battle. Raiden then discovers that Desperado is taking kids' brains and will be using them to train them as cyborgs. That's disgusting. After that, Raiden makes his way where he finds the kids. Unfortunately, George has been taken hostage. Raiden does the only logical thing. He cuts them both down. Seems a little unnecessary. He probably could have just chopped off the scientist's head, but it doesn't matter because George is repaired, so all's well that ends well. Yay. So now Raiden heads to Denver to recover the stolen brains. Maverick can't officially aid him, so Raiden's on his own outside of Kodak conversations. As Raiden moves forward, he is confronted by Jetstorm Sand, who links Raiden's mind to hearing the thoughts of the men he's fighting, and he's haunted by them.
Goddamn IED took my legs. I needed a job. Stop!
He's killing men who are essentially like him, providing for their families and whatnot. So Raiden can't fight for the next segment, as he slowly walks his way to where the next boss battle, Monsoon, is waiting for him. Monsoon taunts Raiden. After all, it's kill or be killed on the battlefield, and Raiden pretty much just decides, screw it, and unleashes his inner split personality, Jack the Ripper. Okay, this is kind of out of nowhere, but hey, it makes Raiden more powerful in gameplay, so I guess I'm not complaining. Monsoon is a pretty cool boss battle too, using every strategy you have. So after Raiden beats Monsoon, he heads inside the building, making his way through. He confronts Sundowner. Sundowner is a pretty epic boss, such a good atmosphere too with the rain, and rain is always a good way to add atmosphere to a fight. So Raiden kills Sundowner in a pretty epic fashion. Sundowner tells Raiden that Senator Armstrong will launch a terrorist attack that will put PMCs back in high demand. With that, Raiden tries to get out of Denver, but ends up having to fight his way out. On his way to the airstrip, he is confronted by Sam, and the two have a Western-style one-on-one battle. Raiden defeats Sam and makes his way to the airstrip. There, Raiden meets up with Sonny. Yeah, Sonny from MGS4. It's a nice little cameo. Sonny gives Raiden his ride, and he manages to get to the airstrip. As he arrives, Raiden makes his way and confronts Armstrong in Metal Gear Excelsis. Now, this is Metal Gear. The action is so over the top here as Raiden cuts off Excelsis' arm and uses it to cut it in half, but even that doesn't stop Armstrong as he comes up and, well, he pretty much annihilates Raiden. It's not even close. He even snaps his blade in half. Armstrong is such a hilariously over-the-top villain, but that makes him so memorable. I'll just let some of these clips speak for itself.
Where power and justice are back where they belong. In the hands of the people! Hands! Don't fuck with this, Senator! The weak will be purged, and the strongest will thrive, free to live as they see fit. They'll make America great again!
Ooh, yeah. So Raiden pretty much says what anyone would say.
You're batshit insane!
And with the blade of Jetstorm Sam, Raiden challenges Armstrong to a final battle. This fight is incredible. Armstrong's got twice as much health as a normal boss, and his attacks all hit incredibly hard. The action is so fast-paced, he can even knock Raiden's sword out of his hands, and it's rather cool that they put in unarmed fighting until you can get your sword back. He throws everything he has at you. This fight alone took me nearly an hour to finally beat. Once Raiden finally wears Armstrong down, he rips out his heart and crushes it in his hands. Armstrong tells Raiden that he's a kindred spirit and encourages Raiden to continue fighting his own path. After all, for Armstrong, the strongest survive, so Raiden has proven himself to be the strongest. We get some wrap-up to finish off the story, and Sonny sums up Raiden pretty well.
And he hurt a lot of people. But that's not the Raiden I know. The Raiden I know is a hero.
That's the story of Metal Gear Rising. It's nothing too deep. You can pick it up and play it without any knowledge of the previous Metal Gear games, which I'm sure is what they were going for. The tone is all over the place. Some moments are lighthearted and goofy, while others are dark and introspective. Oh, I didn't even mention that Raiden has some Kodak calls, Boris, Kevin, Courtney, and Doctor, who don't get that much characterization, to be honest. Raiden himself is caught between his Raiden and Jack personas. The only other characters who have a clearly defined arc are Sam and Wolf, who get their own DLC chapters. The Jetstorm DLC explains how Sam came to work for Desperado, and the Wolf DLC goes into depth of his struggle for freedom. Sam is characterized as a samurai, and he fits very well as Raiden's main rival. The final confrontation with him is perfect as it shows Sam's sense of honor. Wolf's desire for freedom is probably the best defined arc in the game. You really do feel sorry for him during his DLC. Let's analyze the two DLC chapters real quick. Neither is very long, and what's most disappointing is that in the Jetstorm DLC, you don't even fight any unique bosses. You only fight who Raiden fights. While the Wolf DLC is a little better in this regard, it's mostly a bunch of VR missions. Though Wolf's segments do rely more on stealth than Raiden's game does, while Jetstorm Sam is all about unleashing whatever combos you can do. I only got these because they were both available for free on the Xbox 360. Now let's talk about the gameplay. Your main attack is by slashing enemies with your sword. There's no shortage of combos that you can use. The goal is mainly to use your sword to go into blade mode, which you can use to slice your enemy to millions of pieces in every direction. In fact, you can cut through almost anything. There are times where you can go into stealth mode, where you can sneak up behind enemies and go for a quick instant kill, so it does have the classic Metal Gear Alert phase. And if you're spotted, you can go and hide. But I find that the enemies are pretty much locked onto where you are anyway. They can see me through this wall. How is that possible? The gameplay is fast-paced, never slowing down, and that's exactly what you'd want in a game like this. That's what the ninja run worked really well, as it always allows Raiden to automatically jump over obstacles and deflect bullet gunfire. Sometimes you're thrust into segments where you have to run up the side of a building, which always looks so cool. It reminds me a lot of Devil May Cry, which is about doing combos in a very cool way. I'll put that series on the to-do list. One thing you're going to have to learn to rely on is the parry maneuver. By pressing the button in the right direction, Raiden will parry his opponent's attack and you can unleash a series of blows. Sometimes you can go straight for the killing blow. There's a series of sub-weapons you can use, such as the rocket launcher and cardboard box, as always. For regaining health, so long as you press the right button, Raiden will rip out this and add it to his arsenal, instantly recharging his health. Also, after you unlock it, once your energy bar is filled up all the way, Raiden can unleash Jack the Ripper mode, where he pretty much cuts anything in his way in two. Sometimes there are areas where you can find a hostage, but I was never able to pull off rescuing one of these guys, mostly because whenever I tried, I would instantly get spotted and that would kill the hostage right away, so my bad. You can also find these VR missions that are hidden throughout the level, which I didn't really spend a lot of time on, but they're there if you want to indulge yourself. So the levels do encourage exploration with the vision mode, which allows you to see where enemies are and hidden item boxes. Better stock up on those nano pastes, you're gonna need them. The graphics are pretty serviceable, but they do their job well, and the game runs at a smooth 60 frames per second. What really cuts into high gear is the music. The music in this game is just awesome. Just listen to some of these. Awesome. They fit so well with the game too. It really adds to the fast-paced feel of the gameplay. So that's Metal Gear Rising. It's a pretty fun time. It's not my favorite Metal Gear game, but for what it is, it's very good. If you're looking for an enjoyable hack and slash game that will give you some fun for a good 6 hours, this game's got you covered. As for me, well, I suppose I'm not entirely done with ninjas yet. I've been doing Naruto, Raiden, and now I'll be taking a more character introspective as we'll be looking at the Ninja Spectre of Mortal Kombat, Scorpion. So join me for that. Thanks for watching, this is RetrospectGreg signing off. Have a fantastic day, please hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more. Take care.